Okay, hold up, chat. My food's here. Perfect time to watch Lando's video.
Professor Lando, and in today's lecture, we're going to be talking about horse girls. As the name suggests, a horse girl is part horse and part girl. But what do we mean by that? Well, let's break this down so you have a firm grasp of what we're talking about. We can start with some examples. Recently, we've seen the rise in popularity of a piece of media called Uma Musume, which is a series and game wherein
Not a game. It's a
real-life racehorses are personified as humanoid anime girls who still race like a racehorse, but they also sing and dance as well. And interestingly enough, this is not the first time in human history where a fictionalized piece of media depicting horse girls has become immensely popular with the public.
What'd you get, Panda?
Of course, I'm talking about
Panda Express. Oh, God.
My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, which is a cartoon franchise featuring talking horse girls or horse-like creatures like unicorns that, although initially marketed towards children, has found itself uniquely popular with an adult audience who vary in their degree of suspicious intent. And it should be noted that these individual adults who find themselves particularly interested in My Little Pony are often referred to by others and themselves as bronies. Now, the enthusiasm for horse girls in such a manner is so widespread that there is even unique vocabulary that has found its way into the lexicon of the everyday man associated with desire of horse girls. And that word is clomping, which is a verb that refers to pleasuring oneself or otherwise engaging in an indulgent way to media of My Little Pony. And it should be noted that the word clomping comes from the onomatopoeia of a horse's hooves, clomping. And the fact that this has found its way into the vernacular of the people really highlights how much this enthusiasm is widespread and is in fact not a one-off niche thing on the internet. And surprisingly, this is not the last example of fictionalized horse girls being popular in modern times. Very recently, there was an online obsession with something called the horse race tests, which were a series of race simulations ran on twitter.com featuring these blob-like characters that represented horses. And in line with the premise of this lecture, people online fell absolutely in love and became obsessed with these blob characters. Now, before we delve deeper, you students must be wondering, Professor Lando, those examples you went over are very different kinds of horse girls, and you might not be sure what counts as a horse girl and what doesn't. So let's go over a very easy visual scale for reference. So here we have a visual representation of the horse girl scale, which you can reference to determine what kind of horse girl you might be encountering. So here on the far end, we have a horse that is just a literal horse, an animal. Moving on, we have My Little Pony, which is, for all extensive purposes, physically a horse or some sort of horse-like creature, but with human intelligence or otherwise some intangible human traits. And then moving forward even more, we have something along the lines of a 50-50 split, represented by a centaur, which is, of course, most of you would know, half human, half horse, and commonly the horse part being the bottom part, and the human part being the top. And then we have horse girls like the Uma Musume characters that are pretty much just human, with some very minor horse-like physical qualities like the ears and the tail, with most of the horse-like traits being intangible ones like their origins and their actions like horse racing. And then on the far end of the opposite side, you have something that is not a horse. This is human. And so what we have here is a scaling representation of horse girls and their varying degrees of horsiness. And
all I'm seeing here is the less horse you are, the less hair you have. That's all I've understood from this chart. Okay.
Tandem with this visual horse girl scale, we can overlay a different scale to come to a conclusion about something very important in this classroom. So what we are going to overlay on top of the horse girl visual scale is the scale of ascending goon ethicality, where you have here on the far end unacceptable goonage being acceptable from the mainstream public at the very least. And as we move along, the ethicality and acceptance of the goonage taking place increases to the far end over here, which would be acceptable. So as you can see, as we move forward,
is gooning to Northern Lion acceptable? That's the real question here.
with horses being largely unacceptable, I believe illegal, actually, as we move forward into the fictional realm and varying degrees of horsage being added to the character, we have increasing acceptance, or at the very least, ethicality of goonage. Most scholars would agree that the previous model is a little outdated for the purpose of analyzing the distribution of horse girl-ness. And in recent times, we've developed a new diagram to help properly describe the distribution. So this is going to be a Venn diagram model of the horse-girl distribution. So just like the previous diagram, here on the far end, we are going to have horses. And on the opposite side of the spectrum, we're going to have humans. Now, the previous diagram assumes a linear distribution when it comes to horse to human ratio, but like I said, the nuance here proves to be a more complex model. So when you have horses here and you think of, at the very least, the physical qualities of something like My Little Pony, the overlap of physical qualities of My Little Pony characters and literal horses is going to be much closer to one another than things on the opposite end of the spectrum, like Uma Musume, which is going to be much more similar to a human than it is going to be close to My Little Pony or literal horses. And in the middle, and similar to the previous diagram, we're going to have a category that much better overlaps as many horse girl categories as possible, and we believe that this diagram is the best representation for it. Of course, we are talking about centaurs, which have a little bit of everything. Did I spell that right? No, I did not. A-U. Centaurs, which is going to overlap a little bit with My Little Pony, overlap a little bit with actual horses, and definitely leans into more human qualities, of course, being centaur half and half, and sharing a little bit of the traits of something like Uma Musume characters. And again, that is going to be centaurs right there. In short, people really like horse girls. And for some reason or another, our civilization seems to be drawn to depicting these horses in media like Uma Musume, My Little Pony, and the horse race tests, not to mention the slew of lesser horse girl media out there. Now the question is, why? As we've touched on, people largely enjoy horse girls as a form of entertainment, but there are those that enjoy it in a more academic and explicit manner. And some of you new students here in the classroom might be wondering, Professor Lando, there's no way that people enjoy horse girls in such a way. And to answer this and lay the foundation of our lecture here today, I went to the archival department here at the Ligma University to get something. Let me show you this. So these are the search results on a particular archival website for My Little Pony. And as you can see here, there are exactly 257,518 results as of the recording of this lecture for My Little Pony, particularly.
This is exactly why the world is digressing. Or, sorry, regressing. Wait. Yeah, regressing. Degrading? Regressing? Which one? Maybe regressing.
So it goes without saying.
Maybe degrading is the more correct word.
That it goes without saying that My Little Pony, just a small subsection of horse girls, is quite popular. And I think we can come to the conclusion that horse girls in general are viewed in such a light. So the question is, why? Why horse girls specifically? After all, there are plenty of animal-like humanoid characters like cat girls as well as dog girls. And with these...
They're the same? Wrong. Let me ask you, what was My Little Pony designated the target audience for? Kids. Children. What do My Little Pony weirdos do? They take a show meant for kids and then suddenly sexualize it. Yeah, that's That definitely way weirder than something about Uma Musume, which is literally about horse racing, which is a very adult concept, right? Horse racing is a very adult concept. So it's just, it's not the same.
These archetypes of characters, yes, people do find them particularly enticing to varying degrees, but we do not see the same level of enthusiasm we see with horse girls. There is no cat girl Fantasia video game that everyone is playing and posting about on Twitter. There is no dog girl wolves galore cartoon show that people have been watching for the past years and years and years. No, that is reserved for horse girls particularly. So I want to answer the question, why? What is it about horse girls particularly that grips the audiences so? Students, if you're anything like me, you have a lot of academic research to do throughout your day, a lot of hard work, educating the masses, of course, and I often find myself tired, needing a little boost, and something to quench my thirst.
Is Gamer Sup?
Well, today's sponsor is Gamer Subs, featuring a plethora of wonderful flavors like anime girl thighs, as well as unique collaborations like this one with JoJo Stone Ocean. Gamer Subs is a keto-friendly and sugar-free drink mix to help give you a little boost throughout your day, whet your palate, and most importantly, give you some anime girls to look at.
Use discount code FOBBIT. True.
Sure. I do think that the answer is clear to why we are so attracted to horse girls, and that is because horses are useful. Throughout history, we have used horses in a multitude of ways to enhance our lives as a society. And I believe that this has been ingrained in our DNA, into our genes, as we have evolved beside one another. More than pets or simple companions, horses have become associated with our survival. And this is what has compelled us, even in modern times, to be so obsessed with horse girls. And so we can extrapolate this data to come to a conclusion about why horse girls are more popular than other animal pseudo-humanoid characters like cat girls and dog girls. And of course, as with many things, I have a diagram for this. Okay, so here we have a diagram of the amount of desire that people have for the anthro character of the respective animals being cat girls, dog girls, cow girls, and of course, horse girls. And over here we have usefulness, as in at the bottom being not particularly useful as an animal, and here at the top being extremely useful to humans. So let's start here at the bottom. I think it's a common understanding that dogs are historically more useful than cats. They have served as service animals as well as hunted alongside humans for hundreds of years. And the conclusion we can draw is that dog girls are markedly more desirable than cat girls, although the margin is close. We can look at popular media to come to this conclusion. There are a plethora of dog-like characters, like the wolf guy from Zenless Zone Zero, Blythe from Elden Ring, the wolf from Bad Guys. There are plenty of examples of canine-like characters that are consistently popular.
I think if we took the most popular cat girl and cat boy characters and compared to the most popular dog boy and dog girl characters, I'm pretty sure cats still come out ahead in that regard.
In modern media. So moving on, we have cows and cowgirls. I think it goes without saying that cows are immensely more useful than dogs and of course cats. We eat them as food product, eating their steak, their meat, and drinking their sweet, delicious milk. And we've also used them as beasts of burden. They've pulled our wagons and farming equipment for generations. And due to this immense usefulness, we see very often
name a memorable cowgirl.
The marks, the traits of cows and cowgirls being very popular and enticing in modern media. Of course, I am talking about the infamous cowkini. The visage of a cowgirl has been almost associated with lustfulness and a sense of almost primal desire. And not only that, the association of desire and lust and cowgirls goes so hand in hand that we've created a euphemism for an explicit act called milking. Milking, or the act of being milked, as a euphemism, is an incredibly popular joke and practice in modern times as well. And so you might be thinking, Professor Lando, it seems cows are incredibly useful and that desire for cows is extremely high. What makes horses even more desirable and even more useful than cows? And while that might seem true at first glance, people often overlook one key trait about horse girls that sets them apart from the rest. And that trait is that horse girls have big, huge hearts. They are very loving creatures. Horses have served as loyal companions for all of human history.
What?
And they have such big hearts. And of course, thank you to our Patreon supporters and to these students here in detention for supporting me in my studies here at Ligma University. If you want to learn more, be sure to check out some more of my lectures and videos. Thank you very much.
Nice! That's our GOAT, Lando! Lando, motherfucker, when's the last time you streamed on Twitch? Son of a bitch! Bro has not streamed in a fucking million years! He's got his VTuber, but like, I don't even know how often he streams on his VTuber.